Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Civivi Mini Sandbar. Now, this variant that you're seeing here is in Damascus. This is the more expensive version. There is a less expensive version that comes in Nitro V. This is available, so I will link it right down below. You can check it out if you'd like. Thanks so much to Civivi for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, this is going to be a quick review. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. Overall length of the Mini Sandbar coming in at 7 inches. Blade length coming in at 3 inches. And then your cutting edge is coming in at about 2.75. Let's go ahead and do just a couple of size comparisons here up against the Ontario Rad Model 1 and the Ontario Rad Model 2. Definitely closer to the size of the Rad 2, but still a little bit shorter. Let's put it up against the Spyderco Para 3. And last but not least, let's put it up against the Benchmade Bug Out. All right. Now let's take a look at the action here. It's okay. Access to the liner bar, or the liner lock. It's a little bit rigid, and this is a narrow area, so it's not the most comfortable disengagement. Flipping action is good. It's typical Civivi. This feels a little bit tight, so we're not getting any fall shuttiness or anything like that. The detent's fine, right? It's pretty much what you'd expect from a Civivi. It's just that disengagement of that liner lock is a bit uncomfortable, and I think it's mainly due to the size and the narrow space that you're having to crush your finger into. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3, it is extremely similar. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3, you can see here that this is really not just, it's really not a big object, right? Really, I mean, you could almost fit it inside the Para 3. So, shouldn't be that difficult to carry. For materials on this guy, we're looking at micarta, steel, and Damascus. Those other variants might be G10, the ones with the Nitro V, but I don't know about you guys, Nitro V and micarta, they're almost interchangeable to me. You know, it's like sometimes I prefer one or the other for this reason or that, but they're just, it's one of those things that it doesn't bother me very much, you know, whether it is or is not G10. Liner skeletonization of the liner. So we have weight reduction. That's nice. Like I said, this is Damascus. I don't really like Civivi's Damascus. I don't like the etching they do on it. You know, the performance is going to be similar to 440C, which is fine, but you're going to get better performance out of the, you know, the single composition steels that they use that are almost always less expensive. Weight on this guy is coming in at 2.47 ounces, so that's very lightweight, very good ratios. It's just not going to be a cumbersome object in the pocket. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. Get out my calipers here. Blade stock thickness on the Mini Sandbar coming in at 113. It's probably about 110, I would guess. 110 to 115 thousandths. Typical Civivi thickness there. Let's go ahead and do a hardboard check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. T8 for the pivot. Pocket clip. I'm pretty sure, yeah, T8, everything's T8. That's great. Civivi does a good job of that. Should be pretty easy to take apart, maintain, etc., etc. Okay, so this, I believe, I hope I'm not mistaken, I think this was designed by Eric Oakes. I think that's what I remember seeing on Blade HQ, unless there is an error there, in which case I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that. I like his designs a lot. This one, I have a thing about, you know, wanting to get my whole hand on a knife, and I'll make exceptions, right? Because it's like, oh, you know, what, he's just gonna like not ever give a small knife a good review. It just depends on the elements here. We have a pretty open handle, but for whatever reason, we've decided to go with a flipper on this guy. I'm getting about 3 fingers and then my pinky's hanging off the edge, which is just frustrating, and I feel like I'm cramming in here to get in behind this flipper tab, and it's just on smaller knives. I don't like flippers on smaller knives. It's just, it feels a little bit less organic because you're having to, if your hands are like mine, right, average size hands, you're having to cramp your hands to get into a good position for the flipper tab, and then in this case we have, I'm not sure why, I mean, it's not like there aren't bigger knives with this blade stock thickness or this size of gap here with the liner. The liner, it just feels like there's a lot of tension on it, and the this area right here, it's very aggressive on the finger. So even though it is cut above the scales here for access, it just doesn't feel good to disengage. The flipping action is fine, but everything feels cramped and small, and I don't like the position that I get my hands in. Funny enough, we have this pocket clip right here on this guy, which is a really, really great pocket clip. Now, this guy is, let's see here, there it is. I think this is still a steel clip, unless it's just attracted to the liner. Maybe that's the case. I think maybe on this guy, it is a titanium clip. Sorry, I cut the video to go and check and make sure. Yes, it is a titanium clip. People always like to tell me, just because it's non-magnetic doesn't mean it's titanium. I know that, but with pocket knives, that's an easy way to get through it. The irony is I'm still taking time to explain it. Anyways, yeah, the clip is titanium, which is neat. There's a problem with it. We'll get into it later, but the clip itself, the design of the clip is very good. This is substantially better than Civivi's regular pocket clip because it's flat. The bill doesn't into the middle of your hand, right? So the ergonomic lines are not super great on this. It's not like, wow, so comfortable, right? It's fine. It's just not amazing, but that pocket clip does not create a hot spot, which is great. If you have much smaller hands, right? For a guy, I wear an XL glove, which is, sorry, gents, it ain't that big. It's pretty normal. So if you're like me, which is Mr. Common Pants over here, then you're going to have this ergonomic experience with it. This is where it's going to fit in your hand, right? But that pocket clip's not going to be bothering you. The blade, can't say I love the blade shape. It is a recurve with a slight, right? You can see this abrupt change, right? So you can call this like a clip recurve Tanto kind of thing. It'll be great for poking stuff. And you know what? With that recurve, drawing the material into this main curvature of the knife here, yeah, it's gonna slice and it's gonna cut. You're gonna have a little bit of frustration. When I say a little bit, I mean quite a bit of frustration when you are resharpening this. This area right here is gonna round out and eventually it's just gonna be like a standard recurve. But okay, some people really like this blade shape. There's a little bit of a choke up area right here. This is kind of a teasy choke up area, and just another reason why I don't want the flipper tab here. Get rid of this flipper tab and you can actually make use of this choke up area and actually get your whole hand on the knife. This just feels kind of, I'm getting really close to that, right? I really wish that this was just the thumb stud opener. Even if the thumb stud was slightly in a cutting path, which is unlikely, because of this larger area up here, this large sharpening choil. They put the thumb stud right there. It's going to clear, right? It's going to clear the scales. It'll be sitting right there, and it also is maybe worst case scenario just slightly in the cutting path. It would have been a lot better, but we have a flipper tab, so okay. Civivi's etching on their Damascus. This next part is really just for just talking about this Damascus variant. It's just very cloudy and it just does not look good. I mean, if this is the first time you've ever experienced Damascus, you're probably going to look at this and go, wow, that looks really cool. This is like, the etching on this is about as basic as it gets. But, then again, that's what you're going to get when you're paying for Damascus. And you know what? It says his name right there. Right there. Yeah. Eric Oakes. Great guy. Super nice guy. Has some incredible models. Like, really awesome stuff coming from Eric Oakes. And I'm sorry I've been calling you Eric Ox. That is my fault. It's Oakes, I think. Yeah, Civivi's, the etch on this is what you can expect at, sub $100 for Damascus. Damascus looks a lot better than this when you start paying more money for it, and it's made out of, the compositions they make it out of often are substantially better when it comes down to the final performance. So I'm just not a huge fan of Civivi's Damascus, or their etching on it. But anyways, the rest of the blade, it looks good. I mean, fit and finish is typical Civivi. Sorry, I just had an avalanche of stuff fall off camera there. The edge feels good, nice and bitey. I mean, it's a quality made blade. The execution of the blade itself, not the finish, but the blade is good. It's just the finish, right? Micarta looks okay. It's just micarta. It's the same kind of stuff that Civivi always uses. Moving on here, we have a lanyard hole in the back. So there you go, lanyard people. You can put a lanyard on it. Little backspacer that's going to be, looks like made of whatever the scales are made out of, you know, depending on if we have different materials for the different flavors of this knife. The backspacer will match the scales is what I'm saying. Pocket clip, like I said, excellent. It's made of titanium, which adds a little bit of cost. We'll talk more about that. There is a stop pin right here. It's just a standard stop pin, a little bit of shouldering there, so that's nice. No blade play up, down, left, or right. We are running on, can you guys see it? It's bearings in there. We have no pivot lash. This one's a little bit tight, as is the case with all, you know, knives. It'll smooth up over time. It might be the finish on this is just making it a little bit tight. I'm not really sure. Detent is nice, sort of medium heavy. And then the centering on this guy is spot on. Can we see that? Yeah, spot on. Okay, so it's a small knife. It's got a flipper tab. It doesn't have perfect ergos. You don't like the Damascus, but we can get a less expensive version of it, and that's pretty cool. It's got a titanium pocket clip, right? How much is it? $77. You mean for the Damascus one? No, I mean for the regular one. The one that's in Nitro V steel. This guy's approaching $90. This. Okay, so $77 for the base version. It's Nitro V and has a titanium pocket clip. I like the clip. I don't have a problem with Nitro V, but that's not a $77 knife. And I don't want to get bent out of shape because we are still in basically budget territory, but that's over my threshold for a budget knife. 75 bucks is the cutoff. I don't like Civivi making knives that are coming, like, it's like if that's where you have to land, then change something. Because I don't want a titanium pocket clip bad enough to have to pay almost 80 bucks for a Civivi knife. It's like, you know, I'll choke down that goose clip. Do this and just make the clip steel, right? If you're gonna say, well, it's a titanium pocket clip, fine, make it out of steel. That, you know, this clip is definitely better. This clip is way better. I don't know if this is a Civivi thing or if, you know, Eric designed this clip. I don't know. The clip is way better. And, you know, the knife is still okay. The main thing that I don't like about it is just the tension on the lock bar, and it's kind of uncomfortable to disengage it. It's a little bit smaller, but, you know, smaller knives, a lot of the manipulation, the ease of manipulation can be fixed by just a different operational mechanism, right, for deployment. Oh boy, that was a lot of syllables to say. You should put some thumb studs on it. Sorry, geez. But yeah, you should put some thumb studs on it. You know, I feel like it would make a lot more sense. In this form, it's just a hard no from me. I don't understand what the incentive is to pay that much. The stuff that's there that's making it cost that much money is just like, no. You know, they have other knives in their line that are essentially the same thing for under 60 bucks. Like or at least under 65, right? This is some of their button locks that are in Nitro V are like 70 or 72. And those that's much easier to choke down that price tag on some of those, right? So if the pocket clip is making it cost that much money, I'd honestly rather have the other clip. And I know at this point I'm just sounding whiny. I want my budget knives to stay budget knives, and I don't want to overpay for elements that are essentially trivial. The design is meh, the price is yuck. And then there's some other elements that I'd like to see on some other knives. If you're gonna pick this up, go with the Nitro V version, save yourself 10 bucks. You're still gonna be overpaying for it, in my opinion. This is far from my favorite Civivi. But again, I do like Eric Oakes, and I do like the designs he's been putting out elsewhere in the knife world, very much. Okay, I think that's gonna be pretty much it, guys. There's not really anything else that I can say here. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.